Just so I understand the temperature in the room real quick, how many of you are doing YouTube videos? So any videos in the past 3 months? If you want to drop in the chat, yes or no, either way is fine. This is going to work regardless of what you're doing in terms of YouTube or not. It's just a huge amplifier if you are. All right, we have a lot of yeses. We have a lot of yeses. I like that. Well, we have still no, no. That's okay. That's okay. Currently scripting, not recording. Awesome. That's fine. Awesome. All right. So as we're talking about scaling our business, we're going to be talking about video, and I'm going to be giving you the actual types of videos that are actually going to generate you business, convert business, and scale your business. So it's going to end up doing all three. So quick reminder, we either break it down into lead generation strategies, conversion strategies, or scaling our business. These types of videos are actually going to do both. So you're in for a special treat. And I'll show you examples of what I'm talking about here shortly. So we have a lot of YouTube folks here, but just remember what we're about to cover goes beyond YouTube. I encourage you to just drop, once you finish your video, to go ahead and drop it on YouTube, because it's going to be an amplifier for your business, but you certainly don't have to. So from a seller's perspective, the most research, actually, let me back up, from a client altogether, from a prospect altogether, from just a person on the street, just any person off the street, from that population of who we're looking to work with, the most searched term is how to sell a house without a real estate agent. So that's the most searched term on YouTube and on Google in relation to a real estate transaction. Of course, that's not the most searched term on across the entire internet. But when we're talking about a real estate transaction, the most searched term is how to sell a house without a real estate agent. So that's a very powerful thing to understand, because if we know that there's tens of thousands of Google searches and YouTube searches per month, and we're talking about per month on that specific topic, then there's a lot of things that we could do, because that tells you quite a few things. It tells you that, well, somebody's looking to sell their house, we're exploring that option, and they're also exploring the option without a real estate agent. So that lets you know that they're generally trying to save a bit of money, right? So if real estate, our services were free, then that search wouldn't matter, right? So what I wanted to share with you as I'll be giving you, actually, I'll drop it right now. So this is the first video that I wanted to drop here, first video to create. So on the left-hand side, it's more the category, selling a house without a real estate agent. And on the right-hand side, actually, it didn't format correctly, how to sell a house without a real estate agent. That is a title suggestion for you that you can modify. But before I go into the next type of video, what I really want to convey with this type of video is we're creating this video, although it seems counterintuitive, we're creating this video not with the intent that we want the viewer to actually not hire a real estate agent, but what we're doing is we're essentially pleading the case or presenting the case of why a real estate agent is so necessary, right? Because there's legal or liability implications that a homeowner has taken on, so they could defer some of that risk. As far as now that we're getting into a real estate market that more homes are going to stay on the market a little bit longer, then more folks are going to need our services, right? So there's going to be less FSBOs, or there's going to be the same amount of FSBOs, but a higher, failure rate on their part. So this is going to be one of those terms that is going to be very, very, very important to dominate in the very near future, because as real estate prices start coming down, well, some folks that ended up buying and are trying to sell by themselves, and they're just not going to have an understanding of how to sell their house successfully. So the reason I'm creating this video, and this is how I tied into those 3 categories that I was telling you about: acquisition, lead generation, conversion, and scaling. The reason we're creating this video is because, yes, we get to put it on YouTube and us explain the entire process on how to sell your house. So the things that you would do as a real estate agent, you're basically documenting. You're basically documenting the prep, the getting a house ready for sale. You're basically documenting what how you qualify buyers, how you do all of that work. You're basically documenting what happens when you're under contract. The title company, or some of you are in states that don't have a title company, have more attorneys. So you're documenting the entire thing. So you're providing kind of like a master class on home selling, but it's essentially just you documenting what you're doing as a real estate agent. Does that make sense so far? So that's one thing that I want to make sure that we have clear, because when we say that this is how you sell your house without a real estate agent, we want to tell them. We actually want to share everything that we know. And we want this video to be so quality because, again, we're going to drop it on YouTube. However, how this becomes a conversion strategy and a lead generation strategy altogether is because while YouTube is out there pushing your video, this video now allows you to help you with your prospecting. So I know that several of you here are callers. Some of you are calling FSBOs, some of you are calling expired, some of you are doing the circle prospecting. Well, this video gives you an automatic way to provide value to the person that you're speaking to. So when you're calling a FSBO now, as opposed to going through the traditional script of, hey, I'd like to go and do a preview because I have a lot of buyers on my hands, if you will. Well, that'll still work, if you will. But here, when you're having those conversations with the FSBO, you're providing a resource that they now have in their hand that they could use as a guide to try to sell themselves. And if they end up selling that house on their own, okay, they were going to sell their house on their own. Let's be honest, with or without your video. So the thing here is we're giving ourselves a reason or permission to send a valuable asset that the FSBO can now leverage for their purpose. But beyond that, when the FSBO is not successful, now they have somebody that they can come back to and ultimately get that assistance to sell their house, as opposed to going with the traditional script of, I have buyers, when most of the folks that drop that line when they're calling FSBOs is not actually true. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to illustrate here with this type of video is you're creating this video, again, not only to live on YouTube, if you're a YouTube creator that are out there publishing videos, but now this is an opportunity for you to help yourself with conversion and prospecting. This same video can now be applied across all your social media platforms. It could go on the long form version, meaning the entire explanation. You can upload it to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you want. And you can also create shorts out of it. So that's called repurposing, cutting out specific segments of the video in order for the short form algorithms to push your content out there. So we're talking Facebook Reels, we're talking Instagram Reels, we're talking YouTube Shorts, TikTok. Those platforms will actively push you. Does that make sense? So this is one of those videos that you can apply so much utility with just this one video. I know that some of us are, I saw a lot of yeses on, yes, I'm doing YouTube content. I don't necessarily know how active you are on YouTube, but we do have a limited amount of time in the day. We know that. We have a certain budget that we have to stay within. So if you're looking for the highest impact in terms of return on investment with your time and capital, making this type of video makes all the sense in the world, regardless of what you're doing, right? So if you apply this same concept, this is not at the Buyer's Mastermind, but I'll introduce it here just because it makes sense to really apply the concept, because I know a lot of you are doing open houses right now, especially as homes are staying on the market longer. Well, why don't we just flip that and address the how to buy a house, step-by-step explanation. Once you make that video, not only can it live on YouTube, and same thing, it can live on your social media platforms. It can be repurposed to all the short form video platforms. But that one video serves as a huge value add for those folks that are walking through the door, that you now have a little card that you can give them with your QR code on how to buy a house. Right? So it gives them a little blueprint that they can now use on their way to the next open house when they didn't sign into your open house to begin with. Gives them an opportunity to start building trust with you, and you building trust with them without you having to constantly email them, text them, call them. Right? So these are opportunities as we're talking about scaling. I haven't lost the plot. Trust me. As we're talking about scaling our business, this is one way that we have these videos that are out there doing exactly what we would be doing anyway. We would be telling people how to sell their house. We would be telling people how to buy a house. It's what we do every single day. But now when we create these videos, we can go out on appointments and those videos are still working for us. We can go to sleep and those videos are still working for us. We can go and do our lives and those videos are still working for us. So this is how we're leveraging and scaling our business all together. And it just so happens that these types of videos will actually generate business for you and help you convert it at the same time.